The one-on-one again. Love to see it.
Guys who are going to see potentially a good to great workload are younger players and dynamic, like Warren, like Jonathan Brooks. And if you're not familiar with Brooks, he was taken by the Panthers in round 2 out of Texas this year, and we can scroll back up here. I don't know why this is a little booted there. And Jonathan Brooks was traded for 2 draft picks. They gave up 2 draft picks to go get Jonathan Brooks. Technically, it was 3 draft picks. They gave up their 2nd round pick and then 2 more 5th rounders. So that shows that they're confident in him, which is important because he's coming off of a torn ACL late in the season last year, which might give you some worries. But the fact that a team gave up 2 to 3 draft picks for him, and we also know that the Dallas Cowboys were very interested in taking him in the 2nd round, kind of shows that his medicals are smooth. This was a smooth ACL tear, and it'll be an easy recovery. But it should be noted that this was a late season ACL tear. This happened in November, so this is something that, as of right now, he's expected to be back by August, expected to play week 1. Maybe it takes him a couple weeks to get ramped back up to speed. Think Saquon Barkley from like 2 years ago, but then once that happens, he's good to go. There's nothing concerning, at least right now, about this. And now some people might be quick to point out, but earlier we talked about Keaton Mitchell. He's also a younger player. He had an ACL tear. What's the issue with him? Well, it's just all about the information we're getting. First off, Keaton Mitchell's
Wait, what?
injury was a little bit later, a couple of weeks to a month. Later than Jonathan Brooks, and all the news that we're getting for Brooks right now is that, okay, yeah, he's going to be playing week 1, where Keaton Mitchell's is he's definitely not playing week 1 from his own head coach that we showed, probably going to be going on PUP. That's a major difference. Now, some people might point out this recent quote that just happened a few days ago from new head coach Dave Canales. He basically said Jonathan Brooks has a little ways to go, so we'll kind of keep progress into camp on what he is looking like right now with his ACL. That makes sense. His recovery is not until August. That's 2 to 2.5 months away. Of course he's going to have a little ways to go. I read this as nothing has changed. This is status quo. There's nothing alarming about this quote. So now that we got that all cleared up and out of the way, as of right now, this could change, but as of right now, he will be ready week 1 and will be good to go in August. It was a clean tear. And if you're not familiar with his game, he did not get to play much his first 2 years in Texas or in college at Texas, just 4 games, 20 carries, and in 2022, 5 games, 30 carries, because during these years, Bijan Robinson, one of the best running back prospects in the last 2 decades, and Roschon Johnson were both there, but in 2023, he got to be the guy. And in just 10 games, over 1,100 yards, so averaged over 100 yards rushing per game, caught 25 balls, and had 286 receiving yards. This guy does everything. He averaged over 140 yards per game and was working downfield as a receiver at times out of the slot for Texas last year. And when I say he does everything, he does. He's perfect for the NFL. He has the size, the speed, ability to break tackles, pass protect, and catch passes. He's your prototypical 3-down back in the NFL. Now, it may take him a couple weeks, like I said, to get going once the season starts, but by the midway point, I think he is going to be the guy. And now his toughest competition as of right now, it'll be Chuba Hubbard, who is a quality back, but honestly nothing threatening on the final year of his deal. Then there's Miles Sanders there, who signed a decent contract, like $6 million per year, not including guarantees last year, but actually lost his job to Chuba Hubbard. Then they signed Rashad Penny. He's been with Dave Canales in the past at Seattle a couple years ago. Some people think that matters. I really don't think it matters at this point. Penny's older, hasn't been able to stay healthy or even get on the field with the Eagles last year. So I think Jonathan Brooks, maybe come like week 3, 4, 5, is going to be the clear RB1 and definitely be involved from weeks 1 to 2 to 3 as he gets up to his full workload. And now here's the deal. Last year, Chuba Hubbard was a top 10 running back the final 7 games of the year. year, even though the offense stunk, and the offensive line ranked 28th, bottom 5 in run blocking. But that should change this year for Jonathan Brooks and also Hubbard to an extent, because the entire environment is different right now. They ended up signing Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis in free agency, and Yosh Nijman, who is a sneaky good depth piece, a tackle for the Packers, so offensive line looks better. They signed Deontay Johnson, or traded for him. They got a first-round wide receiver in Xavier Legette, so the wide receiver room is beefed up for Bryce Young, who's a former first overall pick. I think he's still talented. And they got an innovative new coach in Dave Canales, who last year brought the Bucs to the playoffs as their offensive coordinator, got Baker paid like $100 million deal, and the year before that helped Geno Smith win comeback player of the year. So as you can see right here, I have Jonathan Brooks as a top 75 player for me. He goes 89th overall. I'm 14 spots higher, so about a round or a round and a half, depending on how many teams are in your league higher. I am on Jonathan Brooks right now. I think he is a great pick in either round 8 or 9 or 10, depending on how many teams are in your league. So there's a couple of running backs in the mid rounds that I think if you could like lock in maybe a first round running back like a Breece Hall or a Bijan Robinson, and then you get those two guys, that's great. Now let's talk about a receiver. And that's the veteran receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown, who I can't ignore in round 6 or 7. Ideally, like this would be my must-have build. You get like Marquise Brown in round 7, you get Jalen at 8, and Jonathan Brooks at 9. Because Brown signed a basically nearly guaranteed contract for 1 year with the Kansas City Chiefs to join Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and this good offense. And now I mentioned this before, and I'm actually curious. Maybe I'm just forgetting, but I think Brown is the second best receiver Mahomes has ever had. Obviously Tyreek Hill, but I would take Brown over like Hardman, Sammy Watkins, and Juju for sure. And look, I get it. It's easy to forget how good Brown is because the last couple of years, last year he was banged up. Yeah, he played 14 games, but he was on the injury report for like 11 of these weeks. And then in 2022, he ended the season with a broken foot injury and had to compete in that year with DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona in his first year with a new team. But despite this, in all these seasons, he had over 100 targets per year. And people forget that in 2021, he put up 145 targets. And you want to know why that's impressive? Because in that season, he was on a Ravens team with Lamar Jackson, who loves to spread the ball around. Mark Andrews was there. And these 145 targets, top 10 in the NFL, was with Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator, who Greg Roman, all that dude does is run the ball and never feed a receiver. And now he's in an offense with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes that ranked number 1 in pass rate when trailing last year and number 3 in pass rate when the game was close. Yeah, I think Marquise Brown can get fed for at least 120 targets this year. And yes, Marquise will have competition. Travis Kelce is there, and we'll talk about him and some of the other receivers, but that's why he's going in round 6 or 7. If there was no competition, he'd be like Tyreek Hill and be a first or second round pick since he's attached to Mahomes. But of course, the competition is there. It starts with Travis Kelce, who's now aging at 35 years old, and we saw that at times last year was starting to affect him. He wasn't on the field as much at times, but he also dealt with a knee injury from the start of the year, so we'll see what happens there. And then there's some receivers. Like Rashee Rice is there. In his rookie year, had over 100 targets. Was like top 10 in first read target share. All this is great, but right now, 2 off-field incidents, he's facing a suspension. Some people are saying 4 to 6 to 8 games. Then there's Xavier Worthy. I have nothing really bad to say about him. Talented receiver, 3 years at Texas. Broke the combine record for speed, although it's a little bit tainted. It's kind of fake because he lost weight for it. But either way, Xavier Worthy, talented receiver, but still a rookie, where Marquise Brown is the experienced veteran for 4 years and I think is a great receiver. Now, don't get me wrong. If Xavier Worthy comes out and is like Jamar Chase right away, week 1 in his rookie year, and he's just dominating left and right, then yeah, Marquise Brown's going to play second or third fiddle to Worthy and Kelce. I'm just not sure that happens right away. Because honestly, you can kind of convince me that like McCole Hardman starts over Worthy week 1, which sounds crazy, but we've seen it before. Quentin Johnson didn't start the first overall pick last year, or the first round pick by the Chargers last year. It was Josh Palmer instead. These things happen in camp. So I'll take my chances on Marquise Brown, who his past injuries aren't concerning to me. It was like a broken bone and a heel injury that is assuming that they healed properly. By this point, they should. He's good to go. No re-injury risk. He's my 56th overall player. Goes 70th overall. Right now in the fantasy blueprint, we're 14 spots higher, about a round higher, showing you that he's an obvious standout value, somebody you need to be drafting when you're in this range of your draft. Let's stick with the wide receiver position, right around this same range, maybe not as far as the 7th or 6th round, but right around that 5th round. Right around that 5th round is a lot of the word round being thrown out there, and now I've said it even more. I apologize, but we're going to talk about Christian Kirk, who there's a lot of similarities to Marquise Brown here with some obvious differences, so let me explain. The similarities I see are that I think he's his team's number 1 receiver when a lot of other people don't see that, but the obvious difference is he's not on a new team. This is now his third year on the Jaguars. And over the past 2 years, he's been the favorite target of Trevor Lawrence. When you look at his 85 targets last year, only played in 12 games, and 133 in 2022, this is about 8 targets per game, and that's led the team the last 2 years. And that was with Calvin Ridley being there last year and having over 130 targets, and now Calvin Ridley is gone. And even with Ridley there last season, check this out. Christian Kirk still led the team in first downs per route run and yards per route run. And now, like I said, Calvin Ridley is gone, but so is Zay Jones. These 2 guys were on the team last year. Zay Jones a year before that as well, so it's going to be a brand new wide receiver room. Free agent Gabe Davis is coming in, and a rookie first-round receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. Now, Davis comes in from the Buffalo Bills, and he was not able to ever break 100 targets there in his 4 seasons with Josh Allen, which is a little bit concerning. And also, he ranked as 67th in yards per route run last year. Not the most efficient receiver. And then there's the rookie Brian Thomas Jr., who at LSU last year, he was a first-round pick.
comes from a striking background. She's a 5-time amateur national champion in Ireland, which is known for a high pedigree of boxing. So we're getting her back to our roots and finding our shots. They were close, and she looked well. She faced a tough opponent. They fought each other before. They know each other, you know. Back to the drawing board, you know. Onwards we go. I'm proud. I'm happy to come here and support, and we go again.
And we stood in here a few years ago, you and I, and you said something, an iconic line, that you were going to take over, my friend, and you absolutely took over. What's that like looking back?
You know, I'm still here rocking away. You know, I had a little lapse of concentration, and, you know, I had to reschedule the bout, so I'm a little upset about that, but, you know, it's keeping me dialed in. It's keeping me focused. You know, I can't rock around like I'm at the
Let's
showing
go.
up.
Valid.
The only job. The job is not done. So, you know, that's not bad for me, for someone like me, you know. So, I'm onwards towards the new date and, you know, take my lessons learned. There was a lapse in concentration. If I was any one of these other little bums that can't move, that have no footwork, I don't rely on their skills, you know, then I would be okay. And I've done it before. I've made the walk a multitude of times under those circumstances and given these bums an advantage over me that they don't even deserve. So now I'm dialing it in. I'm getting this training camps correct. I'm walking in there 100% Conor McGregor, injury-free. Perfection is on the menu with me. And that's it. So, I will be over it.
And that is a dangerous man. Great to see you in here, Conor. Ladies and gentlemen, your own, the notorious Conor McGregor.
Come on.
How was that? Yo, bitch. Pretty little hard.
Excuse me. You guys buy watches here? You do? How much? How much can you give me for that?
This one, $21. $20.
Well, this is mine. I'm trying to sell it. I'm asking you guys if you buy watches. That's mine. I brought that here. You buy watches, sir? That's what I was asking her. Do you buy?
New one?
Yeah, that's mine. I want to know if you can buy it.
Oh, this is mine.
No, that's mine.
No, you broke down.
No, that's mine. I brought it in.
No.
Yeah, I promise.
No,
That's mine.
no, this is mine, man.
That's mine.
You wasn't here.
No, that was mine.
It wasn't here.
No, I had that. I bought...
Bro.
By the way, he ended up putting up over 1,100 yards and led all of college football with 17 touchdowns. And you can see the player profile or workout metrics right here. The dude's just an absolute athlete. He ran a 4.33, which is insane for his 6'3", 210-pound frame. 99th percentile speed, as good as it gets. His catch radius, elite, 98th percentile, and quality burst at 83rd percentile. But even though he was a first-round pick, he's not the type of route runner that a lot of first-round picks are. He's a little bit raw of a prospect. Basically just one with his speed downfield last year. But it's not black and white. It's not like he just stinks and he can't run routes. He can run routes. We just didn't see it consistently. And now some people have actually sent me this in the DMs talking about Brian Thomas Jr. because I've said I'd like Christian Kirk, and they're saying, oh, here's a victory lap for Christian Kirk. No, we're not going to do that. This is them talking about Brian Thomas Jr. We're trying to get him to talk more, just ask more questions. He's not a big talker. For the most part, he just kind of nods and looks at you and then goes out onto the field and does it right. I don't know why people are thinking that this is a bad thing. Even though I like Christian Kirk, I'm not going to use this as evidence against Brian Thomas. The guy is quiet. He's a rookie. He's in the league. He's a young rookie, by the way, who comes from a college profile where he really didn't talk as much there either. These leadership traits are not for everybody, and I'm sure it can kind of be brought out of him by guys like Trevor Lawrence and the coaching staff, but that doesn't mean the guy can't play. Let's not get it crazy and twisted on some of these things. We can like Christian Kirk without trying to slander Brian Thomas for just being quiet. Now, with all that said, Christian Kirk right now in the blueprint is my 47th overall player, currently goes 58th overall, so I'm 11 spots ahead of him. I like to take Christian Kirk. If I can get him in the 5th or 6th round, man, a dream draft. Right now, as of this recording, 6th round Christian Kirk, 7th Marquise Brown, 8th Jaylen Warren, and 9th Jonathan Brooks, and some other guys we talked about in this video as well in there. Maybe even Kyler Murray you sub out in that 6th and 7th round instead of one of those receivers. That feels good. Now let's talk about a couple of more players here, and I want to talk and start with Joe Mixon, who's the next running back, goes in the 5th round, and for me, he's a borderline 3rd round pick right now in the fantasy blueprint. I'm on Joe Mixon right now at his current cost in drafts. That can change, but here's why. Mixon's going to be turning 28 very soon, maybe by the time you're watching this, which means he probably has 1 to 2 to 3 productive years left in the NFL, and probably 1 to 2 for fantasy for sure. Now that's assuming that he's in a good situation, good offense, a good role, and no health issues. Well, we can check checked the box for good situation because he was traded to the Texans this offseason, and then as Jordan Schultz reported back in March, I believe, he ended up signing a 3-year deal right after that. And again, at this time, and still as of this recording, he's still just 27 years old. So a great situation with the Houston Texans in terms of the overall offense and what they're building there. And Mixon hasn't had any injury issues, any major issues pop up recently. Now, another piece to the puzzle is how has this guy been producing lately since he's now turning 28? Will he fall off? Well, basically, since he entered the NFL, he's been a top 12 running back every year. Even last year when his efficiency dropped, and the year before that when his efficiency dropped, but still a top 10 back. You scroll here, top 5. This was a top 10 finish. Okay, he only finished 19th in a year where he was a little bit banged up, and then 9th overall. Basically, outside of his rookie year when it wasn't a full backfield for him, every other year he's averaged like a top 12 finish. And now he leaves the Cincinnati backfield that had a couple of young, talented players like Chris Evans and Chase Brown potentially going to feed or steal some touches from him, to now a much easier backfield. Because now he's on a team that no longer has Devin Singletary, and it's just going to be these guys as his main competition pieces. Dameon Pierce, who lost his job to Devin Singletary last year, maybe he bounces back, but averaged less than 3 yards per carry last year and ranked 109th out of 140 running backs in success rate. Then there's Jawar Jordan, who was an undrafted rookie running back and probably not even the best running back on his team in college last year. That would most likely be based on the NFL draft capital, 4th round pick for the 49ers, Isaac Correndo. And then there's J.J. Taylor, kind of just like a special teams player, a depth piece, a guy who gets some run in the preseason, a smaller back, definitely not a threat to Mixon. And look, I'll be the first to admit, Mixon has not been super efficient the last few years. Heck, last year he ranked 71st in broken tackles per touch. He hasn't been breaking tackles, he hasn't been efficient, but that doesn't matter if you're going to get a massive workload. I don't need you to average 5.5 yards per touch if you're going to get 250 to 300 touches. Sure, maybe if you're only going to get 100 touches, yeah, you got to be really efficient, but he's not going to have to only get 100 touches. This is going to be a big workload. Now, I will admit, my number one concern for this team is the offensive line. Run blocking last year, they were 17th in the NFL, and since then, they lost a tackle in George Fant, a guard in Michael Dieter, and a tackle in Josh Jones, who's definitely a starter. Didn't really add any key free agents. Sure, they signed a couple of guys to like 1-year deals, some veteran minimums, and then they drafted a couple of offensive linemen. But this is my concern. Like, you're going to be going out there with these 3 wide receivers. You're probably going to want to run the ball a little bit more than people expect, just based on the offense that you have out there and the personnel and the coaching staff. But do you have the offensive line? But that's not just going to affect Mixon. It'll affect the pass catching game. And I think that Mixon's going to see enough touches and also has the ability to catch the ball. He's done it back-to-back years, 50-plus receptions, that can kind of make up for it. So I like Mixon where he goes in round 5, and then I definitely like Isaiah Pacheco. I've talked about him a couple times this offseason because I'm just going to continue to draft him, assuming that people don't push him up into the higher rounds right now. Because as of right now, as you can see at the top of the fantasy blueprint, Pacheco is a top 24 player for me. I think he's like a 2nd-round pick, but he goes 40th overall, which means the 4th round. Sometimes he falls into the 5th round right now in drafts. Look, this blueprint is showing you that he's an obvious value. Because Pacheco checks a lot of boxes for me, and let's talk about it. Last season, he was given an expanded role with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he paid off. He ranked 18th in yards created per touch and 11th in breakaway runs. And he did this while seeing that expanded role, a career high 14.6 carries per game and 3.5 targets per game. Over 18 opportunities per game, but this actually increased in the second half of the year where he saw 20 touches per game and was 4th in fantasy points from week 9 on. And that crazy usage only continued into the postseason as the team became more run heavy. These are the game logs for the postseason. I mean, his first game, 24 carries is insane. Second game in the postseason, 15 carries and a couple of catches, so like 16, 17. Then 24 carries in the AFC Championship. He was a great player there, but look, it's a different sport. And just like Deneric Pierce last year, who was getting hype in the preseason, I think that's what's going to happen with Luis here because it's a weaker depth chart. Dude's never played football, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Keontae Ingram, even though they're not the greatest players, they've been playing football at a high level for years. So no disrespect to the rugby player.
Get him out of here. This guy's doing an ESPN mock draft. What?
Mock draft, something like that. But good afternoon to Brian. Hope you're doing well. And you know, it's my first try on ESPN here. I haven't done any practice swings. I do want to see what some of these ADPs are. So I kind of went to the top 5. You got Breece Hall at 6, Bijan at 7, Justin Jefferson goes at 8. Saquon Barkley at 9 feels a little bit early to me. I know in best ball leagues he's a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick. I do like A.J. Brown and Puka Nacua there at the 10-11, and then Jahmyr Gibbs finishes out the 1st round. So kind of status quo. I think Saquon Barkley is the one that jumps out as a little bit rich as a 1st round pick. I think he's more of a round 2 guy for me. And with me grabbing Christian McCaffrey, I think I'm going to probably look at receivers coming up, but let's see what Brian's got to say here. I think I burnt myself from football with drafts, and I still have fantasy baseball going. And yeah, fantasy baseball, you know, I got one really important dynasty baseball league that I have going on, but it's not what I like about it is you set the lineup for the week, and I'm not doing daily lineups. So that's what I like about baseball. When I played fantasy basketball, that was every day, and that was mentally draining. And you're setting lineups and looking at waivers every day. Whereas baseball, I kind of just I check the stat tracker every night, see how the team's doing, and I don't really have to worry about pulling things. But yeah, I'm in the midst of a playoff push. And yeah, I do like the daily. I think daily for redraft. I think for dynasty, I'm fine with just kind of the set it and forget it. Yeah, I got some pickups that I got to get in tonight before tomorrow morning. But we're into the second round here. Garrett Wilson. Curious if you guys like Garrett Wilson this year. Jonathan Taylor, Kieran Williams, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams. Isaiah Pacheco goes in the second round. Now, he's a fourth-round pick over on DraftKings and Drafters and Underdog right now. Michael Pittman's more of a third-round pick, and I think Travis Etienne is more of a fourth-round pick on those best ball sites as well. So it's looking like they're pushing running backs up. I know Marvin Harrison is a early second-round pick in best balls. Travis Kelce's a mid to late third-round pick. Aiden says he drafted. Yeah, and this is all for science, right? Like, we're just kind of having fun and seeing what the ADPs are like and seeing what you can build. Obviously, at pick 102, you probably don't get McCaffrey there. You get your first pick at receiver. So whether it's CeeDee Lamb, Chase, whatever. And I'm in the realm that, like, Jamar Chase could be the wide receiver one this year. I think that's not crazy to think that. But I'm on the clock here. I'm not interested in Derrick Henry. I already have a running back. Christian McCaffrey, he's locked in for me for the whole season as my RB1. But I do like Drake London quite a bit here. This is a full PPR mock. I think Drake London's set for career highs with everything. Kirk Cousins is there. It's going to be a really nice third season for Drake London. And then as I'm looking around here, again, I'm not interested in the old running backs, Henry, Mixon. I do like James Cook, but not this early. He's a 5th and 6th round pick in best ball leagues. But I do want to get some shares of that Texans offense. I think Nico Collins is the guy that I'm going to probably be telling you guys that I like quite a bit this year. I mean, last year he was a pretty much a wide receiver one, and he's got those big spike games built into him, a 34, a 34, a 23, a 35, a 27, and he does have a weekly high floor. And the presence of Stephon Diggs, sure, he might not be a target. Like, he's going to get a targets, but I still think Nico Collins is really, really good. And Brian, we're gonna run that back. I think this is our 3rd or 4th year doing the Fantasy Fellowship League. If you want, you can email me at thefellowkgb. I'll type it in there. Thefellowkgb at gmail.com. Just send me, Brian, send me an email, and I will get you in the Fellowship Listener League. It's a super flex league, so that's a little bit different. There's no kickers or defense. It's all offense. Round, you've got Kenneth Walker, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. So the first QBs are coming off the board here in round 4, and I don't mind clicking on the early QBs this year. I think there's a pretty good advantage to these guys. I love the value on Jalen Waddle. Tank Dell, Devonta Smith is a pretty good one. I also like, Mark Andrews down here in the 4th round. So I'm enjoying the 4th round values. Cooper Kupp is, I think, another guy that, he was injured last year. He missed, some games at the start of the year with that ankle sprain. He might not have been 100% the whole year. Still a very good player. Aiden says 7. That could work. And then what are your thoughts on Keenan Allen? Probably not some volume. But so I'm very nervous. Keenan Allen goes very high in best ball drafts, Brian, like in the 4th, 5th round. And I'm just concerned. Like, you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. You got running backs that catch the ball. You have a lot of interesting players there. And you got a rookie quarterback distributing the ball. They're going to, it's Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator from Seattle. I'm slightly concerned that it's going to be, and I'm up to pick here. I want to click Deebo Samuel because I think he's a really good click, but I don't know if I want him with CMC. But I'm going to do that. And then my next pick, I'm going to continue to go down the receiver well. You guys know me. I like to grab, 3-4 receivers early and kind of see where it's at. If I didn't go receiver here, whether it's Neighbors, Flowers, or I like T. Higgins quite a bit as well. Those guys intrigue me a lot. I don't mind Trey McBride here. If I want an elite tight end, I think Trey McBride's a good pick, but I'm going to grab the rookie, Malik Neighbors, and see what happens. But back to Keenan Allen. Where is Mr. Keenan Allen? So he's down here at 66, which actually seems like okay value. I think he's, like wide receiver 3, like Brian's wondering here. I do think He's gonna be a heavy targeted guy for Caleb Williams. He's gonna knock a little bit of the upside off DJ Moore, number one with 235 full PPR points in the previous years. Like Kelsey, 300 points. 2021, Mark Andrews almost 300 points. So I think it was kind of like a rare year where he probably should Laporta probably should have been tight end 2-3 something in that range, but just Kelsey kind of cooled off. Mark Andrews got hurt. I don't think I'm buying Sam Laporta is the tight end 1 for Dynasty. I think he is the tight end 1. It's really close. Him or Trey McBride maybe might have something to say about that, but it's a little tough for me to click McBride. But after I continue to build my receiver core with Debo and Malik Neighbors, you see Zay Flowers, Anthony Richardson, George Pickens. Ramondre got a big contract today with heavy incentives. That was cool to see. 4-year deal, I think up to $36 million. CJ Stroud, Christian Kirk. I like Kirk a lot. I think Kirk is a fantastic pick. Where he's going, give me Christian Kirk over Keenan Allen. I mean, he was fantastic last year up until that injury. Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, James Conner, Dalton Kincaid. Kind of a good, I'd rather click Dalton Kincaid here at pick 59 than Sam Laporta in the 30s. I think Kincaid's going to be the number 1 receiver for Josh Allen. There goes Keenan at 60. So if you want Keenan, it's a 5th round, maybe a 6th round pick this year. David Njoku goes early round 6. Some veteran running backs, Aaron Jones and David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Austin Eckler, Evan Ingram, and Calvin Ridley. I'm going to be up to pick here in a little bit. And I've built out a pretty good receiver room. I could pivot and look for some other options here. I do need running back. I need a tight end yet. There's going to be some guys that I like coming up here. Not sure where the chat is on Zamir White. I'm interested in Zamir White. Not so interested in DeAndre Swift, who just went. And I missed my guy, Jalen Warren, who's probably my favorite pick at the running back position this year. So we're going to be kind of doing a ragtag group of running backs here. I could grab George Kittle, but I'm already kind of heavily invested into the 49ers offense. I could grab Kyle Pitts, but I got Drake London already. So you know what? I'm going to grab a quarterback here, Dak Prescott. I feel pretty confident about him being a top 5 QB this year. He was last year, and I'm very excited about the Cowboys passing offense because they don't have any running backs. They're going to continue to lean on Dak. He's throwing the ball as much as he can handle here. And Jaden Reed's a good click down here. I'm going to lean into some uncertainty here and see what I got with Zamir White as my RB2. I think he's the primary ball carrier for a okay Raiders offense, but I'm going to continue to build out my running back room. So we need running backs, we need some tight ends, and some depth sleeper receivers here. But getting Dak here feels really good. He was QB3 last year, and he played really well. The one game that he didn't play well, week 1, week 5, and week 15, I think he knocked me out of the playoffs that week. But I think I'm willing to bet on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb this year. So Swift was I've never really been high on Swift. I think he's a little overrated as a runner. I think he's a good pass catching back. But you're also, you're pairing him with a rookie quarterback, an average offensive line. I think there could be some ups and downs. His situational downgrade, though, from Philly to Chicago, I think needs to be stressed a little bit because that's pretty significant. You're going from one of the best running situations and one of the most fantasy-friendly spots for a running back. And, he started the year off great, and he didn't really finish as a running back, too. So I'm slightly concerned with Swift being like a must-start every, week player. They also have Khalil Herbert, who I like as a rusher, and then Roshan Johnson year 2. So it's kind of muddy to me in Chicago, where if I'm drafting a Bear, I want DJ Moore. That's kind of the one guy I want. I don't know if there's enough room. And honestly, I think the success of being a running back in Philadelphia, look at Miles Sanders. He had some really good fantasy seasons there, and he's kind of almost out of the league now. So I'm not too big of a DeAndre Swift guy. What are your thoughts on Nick Chubb? I'm not touching Nick Chubb this year. I mean, I really don't like grabbing any player off of a serious, knee injury, let alone how gruesome his was. You're talking about an aging back who's known for being one of the best pure runners in the league. But man, he's 100% missing the first 4 games on PUP list. And if you kind of do the math and you project out, he might be ready for training camp. I'm not sure yet, but there's a chance that he's not playing till week 7, 8, 9, 10 in that range. And even when he does come back, I think taking Nick Chubb over Jaden Reed, Zach Moss, like even Najee Harris, and you guys know me, I'm not a big Najee guy. I think that's a big mistake. In best ball leagues, Nick Chubb goes in the 150s, and those are leagues where people are paying $15, $20 to do the draft. So Nick Chubb at pick 85 is one of the worst clicks you can do in fantasy football right now. But we're on the board here, and we're going to start to collect some of my favorite sleepers here. I really like Tajee Spears this late. I could pair Tajee with Tony Pollard and see how my running backs shake out. And I might even do that. I think Tajee Spears is a really fun pass catching back. He had some nice moments down the stretch last year. He's got 4, 5, 6 catches in some games. He's a good runner. I think he's going to be in the base offense. So I don't mind grabbing both Titans running backs here. Receivers, I could take a shot on some rookies, whether it's McConkey, Xavier Worthy goes pretty late here. I think those are fun bets. And you know what? I'm gonna grab Ladd McConkey, just because I think out of all the rookie receivers this year, obviously Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. Those guys are going to be the wide receiver ones on their team already. But after that, I think Ladd McConkey might have the best opportunity to lead his team in receptions. We know Odunze's not leading his team in receptions. I'm pretty sure Brian Thomas is not. And then after that, like Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Worthy, these guys are all second, third options on their team. Whereas McConkey, it's not going to surprise me if he goes out and catches 75, 80 passes as a rookie this year, and he's Justin Herbert's #1 target. So I don't mind pulling him there. And I got 5 receivers now, so I'm feeling pretty good there. The way that I draft is I want to make sure I have at least 2 running backs and 2 receivers that I can pull off the bench and say, the season's so long. Like, what you draft is not what it looks like by week 10, not even sometimes by week 4. It looks like garbage. So I'm just trying to make sure that depth is stressed. I really like that the Marquise Brown pick before me was such a good pick. 95th overall. And to me, I think he's the Chiefs wide receiver 1 this year. I also like Deontay Johnson quite a bit as Bryce Young's #1 target. So you can get some really good values late on receiver here, it looks like. And then we got some running backs flying off the board, whether it's Blake Corum, Zeke, Tony Pollard, Singletary, Jordan Addison, JSN. Got Sutton and Odunze coming off the board. So we're looking pretty well balanced here. I do want to start looking around for tight ends and some more running backs here. The fact that I can still get, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz. I think Pat Freiermuth is going to be a smash this year. I said that last year, and I know that kind of bit me, but I do believe in Pat Freiermuth this year, especially with Arthur Smith being his coach, his offensive coordinator. Let's see here. My wide receiver core is dirty. Aiden says we'll look at Aiden's team towards the end of the draft. We'll kind of just do a review. But I'm curious to see how you came away with the #2 spot. Interesting. So, I mean, I'm in the camp that Rashee Rice is getting 4 to 6 game suspension, and I mean, I don't think Rice is that great a receiver. I think he's a good zone receiver that Pat likes to dump off to. But I think Hollywood Brown has been very good, and he's played with some good offenses, and he's got some big upside. So it already sounds like he had a pretty good mini camp in OTAs. So he was the wide receiver that was working with the team and had the best reports out of camp. I like Xavier Worthy, but he's going to be a little boom bust for my liking. So if I'm ranking the Chiefs receivers, Kelsey, obviously the #1 target, but I would go Marquise, Rice, and then probably Worthy as far as guys that I'd want to start every week on my redraft team. And just the thing with Rice is, 4 to 6 game suspension, that's kind of a long time to wait for a player. But when he does come back, what's that going to look like? I'm not quite sure. Where did Rashee go in this draft? He went round 7, pick 9. So, give me Marquise Brown almost 2 rounds later. I think that's okay. But we're on the clock here in a second. I like a lot of the receivers here, whether it's Curtis Samuel, who I think could, lead the Bills in receptions. But we built out a pretty decent receiver group here, so I'm kind of happy with what I got. I'm not buying J.K. Dobbins at 115. I think that's pretty awful. I think Chase Brown's interesting in the Bengals offense. That could be a fun receiving back. But I kind of mentioned it before. Alvin Kamara makes me a little nervous. I kind of want to take a shot on Kendre Miller this year and see what I can do there. As far as tight ends, I don't have one yet. And you guys know me, I like going 0 tight end. I kind of don't want to grab one here. I'm going to grab one more running back that I like a lot. That's going to be Marshawn Lloyd for the Green Bay Packers. I think he is, in a way, he's what they're trying to get from Aaron Jones. Like, he's going to be the receiving kind of specialist there. And if anything happens to Josh Jacobs, you might have a league winner on your hands. And even if Jacobs stays healthy, the Packers have been willing to they've split the carries down the middle with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones the last 3 years. They each get about 180 to 200 carries per season. So I think there's a lot of juice to squeeze out of the Packers backfield this year. So I'll take 2 shots on running back, and I think I'm covered. I mean, I got CMC at RB1, and then we're going to have tryouts at RB2 from Zamir White, Tajay, Kendre, and Marshawn Lloyd. My receivers are Drake London, Nico Collins, and Deebo Samuel. I feel really comfortable with them. If I need to pull up Neighbors or McConkey, we'll see what rookie pops off, and I feel pretty good about that depth there. So with 2 bench spots left, I need a tight end. I don't take kicker and defense until the last rounds. I don't like to, I can find kickers and defenses throughout the waiver wire in the season and play those matchups if I need to. I don't want to invest. I mean, I get one chance to draft players. I want to make sure I'm drafting running backs, receivers, and tight ends in the late rounds here. But yeah, this is going pretty well, I think. I do want to just kind of continue to recap here. Round 11, after I take my 2 running backs, you got Brock Bowers, who Aiden grabs Brock Bowers. I'm curious what others think on Brock Bowers. I'm cautiously optimistic on him. I don't know if I want to, go into hit. I don't know if I'm going to whip him out week 1 as my starting tight end. I might want a veteran that I trust, but I think he can be a nice sleeper pick that gets better as the year goes on. You got defenses going. Rashid Shaheed's kind of a fun depth piece. Algier, Aubrey, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers going deep, and we're starting to get some auto picks with some defenses and some kickers. So I'm going to kind of peruse the board. QBs this slate, I mean, Watson, Trevor, Tua, these are going to be great clicks. If you wanted to wait for QB, like if I waited to pick 144 and 145, I could come away with Trevor and Tua at this range and just play matchups and feel really good about my squad. So that's an interesting strategy to consider going forward. The tight ends, are they going to give me Dallas Goedert for free? That I would feel really, really, really strong about. I mean, I think Goddard's a really good tight end. He just, he has trouble staying healthy. So I am excited about Goddard. I think we want a piece of that Eagles offense. I don't have any Eagles yet, so if that's the case, I will gladly take Dallas Goedert. And Aiden's all in on Brock. I only had 2 dynasty drafts so far. I did not get Brock, but I got 1 more coming up in late July. So I'll see what I can do. But I'm going to grab Goddard here as my tight end 1. I could grab another tight end and maybe take my Pat Freiermuth pull here. Let me just look at the running backs real quick. These guys are all kind of backups with some interesting upside. I do like Gibson, Chandler, McLaughlin. I think Rico Dowdle's interesting. He could outplay Zeke this year. But I'm going to let those guys maybe fall back to me. The receivers, Curtis Samuel's still on the board, man. He should be gone. But I waited for tight end. I'm gonna double dip with my guy Pat Freiermuth, and we're gonna double down because I was very high on Pat last year. But I think having Russ Wilson there could be looking pretty good. And yeah, the one league that I'd already drafted, I think I had my tight ends were Njoku, Jake Ferguson, and Cade Otton or something like that. So I did feel comfortable enough where I didn't need Brock Bowers, and he went the pick before me, so I didn't really have the opportunity to do so. But I do find myself clicking Brock Bowers in best ball drafts. I think he's a guy that, again, could really look good, after the first few weeks once he gets his feet underneath him and we see how the Raiders are deploying him. But I have, we're kind of in the auto pick zone right now. A lot of people have left the draft, and that's fine. That's going to push some values to us. But I have one more flex spot that I'm going to pull with this last pick. Whether it's, I like Demario Douglas to be the wide receiver 1 for the Patriots. I think he's their starting slot receiver. We'll see how Drake May does. I think Romeo Doubs is a really good pick this late. He had a really strong, he missed some games down here with some duds, but he's a 50-50 chance at a touchdown every week with Jordan Love in that offense. So I like that. Brandon Cooks he's a sneaky one. He finished the season really strongly with, 3 straight touchdowns. It sounds like he was there's no CeeDee Lamb at minicamp OTAs. It sounds like Brandon Cooks was really, really clicking with Dak Prescott. So I don't hate taking him this late. I think Tolbert's an interesting sleeper as well. I want to get pieces of that Dallas Cowboys offense, whether it's Dowdle, Cooks, Tolbert. They're going to throw the ball a lot, and I'm excited about that. Jahan Dotson could have a nice bounce back year with Jaden Daniels and the new offensive that they're putting in there. And then there's just a lot of, waiver wire type running backs sitting back here. And yeah, I can't remember who I was talking with too, but like it's almost like a lock that Brock Bowers is the greatest tight end prospect of all time. Like people were ready to draft him on their dynasty rosters his freshman season, like Aiden noted here. So we're talking potentially about one of the next great tight ends. And, once the Raiders get themselves a quarterback that's going to hold down the fort for, at least a contract or two, and Devontae Adams gets out of there, we could potentially be talking about Brock Bowers just being the tight end one in Dynasty and all kinds of formats going forward. So a lot to like with Mr. Bowers. But we're finishing up here our final picks. It looks like it's taking a little bit of time here. I've got, 5 running backs, 5 receivers. I feel really good about my depth there. I got 2 tight ends. I don't really feel like grabbing a second quarterback. I could grab one if I want, but, if Dak gets hurt, my season's already kind of screwed, and I'll just play the waiver wire anyways. So I don't mind kind of just going with one QB here. It's probably honestly between Dowdle, who again, he might just be better than Zeke at this point of their careers. He could lead the team in RB touches and things like that. So I'm gonna grab Dowdle. Brandon Cooks did go ahead of me, and it's kicking me out of the flex spots now. So I'll go ahead and grab a defense. Is the Saints defense even good? I don't know. I haven't really done my defense research yet. The Dolphins are a good team. They got some fun pieces on that side of the ball. They're going to win some games. They get the Patriots twice a year. I'll go with the Dolphins there. And then for kicker, if you guys have watched my stuff, I like looking for indoor kickers, guys that are on good scoring offenses, but not too good at scoring offenses, because those teams that continue, like the Bills, I don't know if I really want the Bills kicker. They score too many red zone touchdowns, things like that. So if I'm looking around here, I think, maybe Matt Gay for the Indianapolis Colts might be a fun click this year. LA Rams, I don't know who their kicker is. Joshua Cardi, we'll watch for him. Matt Prater, the Arizona Cardinals kicker, could be interesting. I think he was kicker 21 last year, but he played through a lot of junk at the beginning of the year. He did look kind of okay at the end of the last year. So, I'm looking for indoor kickers. I like Daniel Carlson a lot. He was the number one kicker for me the last few seasons. Helped me win some keeper league championships. But who really, Michael Badgley maybe for the Lions. They score a lot of touchdowns though, so I get a little bit nervous about that. He looks like he's their starting kicker going into the year. But if it sits like this, I'm looking at Matt Prater, Jason Sanders. The Colts kicker did go, so but we're on ice. And if you're just joining us now, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Help the channel grow. We're gonna have a fun summer here. And again, I'm gonna mention that every Tuesday night going forward, I think we're gonna shoot for about 7 p.m. for a mock draft start time. And the way the ESPN lobbies go, at 7 p.m., that's the lobby we would be clicking into. They don't put those on the website until 15 minutes before it starts. So check back, 15 minutes. If you want to get the link, I'll post it here. Otherwise, reach out to me on Twitter, and I can send you guys the links. If it's up to you, 7 p.m. Central Time would be good for me. 7 p.m. Eastern Time puts it a little bit later. I'm kind of indifferent. I was thinking 7 p.m. Central Time. And whatever, I get to get my kicker. I'll take the Cardinals kicker, whatever. But my recap here, we start with CMC, locked in at the RB1 spot all year. My receivers, we got some bangers here. Drake London, Nico Collins, Debo, and Malik Neighbors. I feel really good about that group for the whole season. I get a potentially top 5 quarterback in Dak, and then we're going to play roulette at running back 2. Zamir White and Tajay Spears will get my first cracks at it. I got Ladd McConkey, another bench receiver piece for me. I took 2 more darts on running backs that could have a nice season. Kendra Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Dallas Goedert, and Pat Freiermuth will compete for my tight end 1 spots. And then I ended with a shot on Rico Dowdle. And yeah, I like the yards after catch ability of this team. So it was a fun team. And again, it's my first try on ESPN here, but we'll click on Aiden's team and see where he's cooking. He ends up with Lamar Jackson, QB1, can't complain. Running backs are James at tight end 1. I love Zay Flowers in the flex, defense kicker, whatever. And then on the bench, man, he's got some pieces here. Brian Robinson Jr., which could be nice. I think Marquise Brown is a really good pick. You know, he might be starting for you sooner than later, and especially if Rashee Rice isn't playing. I'm probably going to start Marquise Brown. Blake Corum, and Trey Benson. That's kind of what I did with my Kendre Miller and my Marshawn Lloyd picks. I just kind of took 2 young players that could get more work as the season goes on. I think Corum and Benson are both solid investments and sleeper upsides. Khalil Shakir could also have some nice moments with Bills. You know, the wide receiver room's up for grabs. And then some more darts here. Xavier Legette, who, you know, he could be, you know, a Debo, DK Metcalf kind of type player. We'll see if he clicks with Bryce Young. And then Tyrone Tracy is one of my some upside to earn more work as the season goes on. But good draft there, Aiden. This was fun. And again, it's June 20th. Like we are officially sick. We're doing ESPN mock drafts in June. But this was fun. Again, we're going to continue to do these. I think every Tuesday night we'll try 7 p.m. Central Time. And we'll have fun doing it and continue to do these. I did the 101 tonight. I'm going to do probably the 102 next week, and we'll kind of continue to move our way to the 112. But I will sprinkle in some Yahoo bases covered. But, yeah, you have a good night as well, Aiden. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and just having fun. So take it easy, guys. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
$104, y'all boys. Come on. Four by four. Late. Oh, you got a 30-minute fucking.
This Lil Wayne get money music crazy. How you know this?
Well, you're Laserdisc. We have to know.
Facts.
And also, to top that off, Laserdisc, we also have a Lil Wayne doll action figure for you.
Appreciate it. It look like some rock star. He look like a rock star.
Possible goals for Laserdisc?
Possible.
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 So we have a double XL from 2007 with Lil Wayne and a Lil Wayne
Action figure
for you, Laser.
Dem 700.
At Summer?
Smash.
Yeah.
2024. Narwhal. Laser 700.
Laserdisc, so there was a studio in your house at one time.
Yeah, it was a studio in my house.
When you were growing up?
Yeah.
Second grade?
Second grade.
Alright, alright, alright.
And it was your mom's boyfriend?
Yeah, my mom's boyfriend.
Had a studio in the house.
Yeah, second grade.
What did he go by? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember what he went by.
Yeah, what did he go by?
You know what he went by? You know what his name is? His name Dear City or Woodrow Edwards or something like that.
June Get Money.
Yeah, June Get Money, that's my cousin.
John.
John.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, long live John.
And you made a song going to Sacramento?
Yeah.
Could you tell me about that?
I really just be making music like everywhere I go. I make it on my phone, so it just be easy. So I got headphones. It's easy.
Did he help shape Red Ops? Did he introduce you to Red Ops?
Nah. Yeah.
How did that happen?
I linked back up with him and like when I got out of school. So yeah, we started linking. We just started kicking it again.
Are you related to Fly Dave at all?
Yeah, that's my cousin. That's my big cousin.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my big cousin. Shout out Fly Dave.
Anything you'd like to say about Fly Dave and Laserdym? Collab?
Yeah, we used to make funny video. Me and Fly Dave used to make funny video. Shout out Fly Dave.
Juice Money on a...
Juice Money.
On a beat.
Juice Money on the beat. How you know, bro?
Well, you were Laserdym.
Yeah, I'm Laserdym.
We have to know.
At first, I was Juice Money. Like, that was my first rap name, Juice Money.
Yeah, Laserdym, quote, trap house jumping like Michael
Jordan.
What was that all about?
Like, I used to be hearing, like, Migos growing up. I used to be hearing everybody rap. I really was just, I ain't know how to create my own title, so I just took their title.
Yeah, I was curious, who is this gentleman right here? Do you know who this is?
Yeah, this me. This me. I had to find out how to do the Pix art. Like, I had to really find out. This first time find out how to use Pix art. Photo editor.
And what does it say at the top?
No, that's swag. No, that's swag.
What was that era of Laserdym like?
Shit, I really was just trying stuff. Like, I was young. I really was just trying stuff. This old though.
How old were you there?
I probably was like 10. About like 10 or 9 or 11.
And was it hard to put this picture together?
Nah. I probably set the phone up. Put a time on it, and then sat down, and I just edited it. Just put little stars on it. I put the glasses on her and the hat.
That's all she wrote freestyle.
That's an old song I did when I was young. Just following a little.
Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. Today is Friday, June 21st, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh, it appears I got my badge. Oh, wow. This just happened. I got my first badge. I got the black badge. So I've done 500 of these drafts in the last, 3 years. Yeah. Oh, wow. Maybe that happened a few days ago. I had not noticed, but... Look at me with the badge. I qualify as experienced. Oh boy. Exciting stuff. I feel like that's less a signifier that I'm good. I mean, there's a potential that someone with the badge is good, but I think it's a little bit more